Something to also note when you're working with widgets is if I just view the source, it doesn't look like anything happened, right? That's the source that got sent to the browser, but that's not what actually got rendered, all right? And that's why Firebug is so fun. I love Firebug. Now when I go look at the actual DOM that got rendered, I can scroll down to the bottom. There we go. Here's my div SEO, and you can see that's where that is. All right? Where it was up here. Okay, this empty div here. That's where it was. Now it's all the way at the bottom of the page. So it doesn't matter how big that view state was, it's not going to punish us for our SEO. All right?
And it doesn't affect the, like if you move a form field out of the form.
It's still in the form.
It's still in the form, it's just rendered.
Yeah. In your skin, you can't handle you can't manage the form tags. Well, you can, but server side. Right. So everything we just did was client side, so that doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. So our post specs will still happen, and the view state will still keep in place. So when the page reloads after we click, I don't know, whatever button that makes something happen, it'll still all happen like it was wired up before. Right. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So already, just with that one widget, we already see the power we can have with just a simple widget. And the code for that is not very extravagant for the relocation widget. To give you an idea. Look at that, that's all the widget code for the relocation widget. Now, something you want to note is the reason that code is so simple is it's using jQuery. Right? jQuery is awesome. I love jQuery. If jQuery is a person, we'd be having a little relationship at this point. So, that's the relocation widget. Any questions on that?
Wouldn't Mrs. jQuery be mad at you for having a relationship with her?
Maybe
Any other
jQuery
questions?
just wants to be friends.
That was streamed, right?
Actually, I can't stream my session because I don't have an extra computer to stream, but it is getting videotaped. So we will be able to see this. Oh, by the way, the HD video will be available on the site as well, so you'll be able to see all that later. All right. Okay, so there was no real questions on the relocator widget? All right. Let me go back to my notes here. So I'm going to go to the embed widget next. Now, I don't really need all that, so I'm just going to take it out. I should have just okay. So now we're going to work in here. So I'm going to go ahead and log in. As you can see in this particular page, there's just a text module there, and obviously nothing's been put into it, so I'm just going to go ahead and log in. My top secret login, guess what that was? There. I just kept it at those. All right. So our next example, I'm going to be using the Google Analytics. I'm going to show you the Google Analytics in a few minutes, but I'm going to save it till after the last of the DNN core widgets because there's actually a bug in it that I sent in this last week. And any widgets right now with DNN 5, if you're trying to include a script tag into your page, so if you're trying to say, I need this script coming from whatever server out there somewhere. All right. If you try to include a script tag, that script tag is going to be removed from the widget altogether. And it's not supposed to be. They didn't intend for that to happen. It's just a bug. All right. So when I say script tag, that's the script. Language equals JavaScript. Source equals whatever. All right. Or script open and we have your code in it. All right. So okay, here's my embed YouTube. So the embed YouTube, obviously, put the video on our website. Right. That's simple enough. Usually, you just copy the little object tab from YouTube itself, but in this case, this makes it a little bit easier, but at the same time, where I see the real power in this is you can do this in your modules, right? You can have your module emit some JavaScript or an object tag here, and the widget process takes over after that, all right? So you could possibly have some sort of re-rendering of a collection of YouTube videos or whatever. So at this point, what I'm going to show you is, in order to get to YouTube, some of the things that you have to do. One of the parameters, if we were to look at the code, is type. So that tells us which type of embed widget we want to use. Now, when I say type, I'm going to go up here to this is our widgets folder that I showed you earlier, into DNN. Our embed widget, what it expects to see is something in our embed resources folder here. And when we go in there, we can see we got a bunch of different, you can basically think of this as providers, all right? Different embed providers. So one of the things that we can embed is a YouTube video. So when we look at that, we have this little snippet here, this snippet file. And all it is just a little bit of simple HTML. And you can see that this is what you would put on your page if you were just embedded a video already. Okay? Now, what's cool is it has the embed widgets. You can't find all of the parameters that you could possibly use in the JavaScript, though. You have to actually go and look at the source of the embed snippets themselves. So in this particular case, we see some things that look kind of odd in our code. This width, and if you're familiar with string replace, the little character for replace, and they're delimited by the colons and whatever value. And that value on the right is the default value of whatever this is. So if you see something that's not on the right, if you see one that doesn't have anything on the right of it, that means that the default's empty. In this case, we don't see that at all. We see something in there. Okay? So these are all our parameters. We got a parameter for width, so we can specify that in our embed code. We got height, full screen, and all these different things that we can do. Right? But in the very simplest implementation, actually, I didn't mean to leave that in there, but that's fine. Just don't convert anything. In very simplest implementation, we have type as YouTube. We're going to put a YouTube video on our page, and here's the source of the YouTube video. All right. So if you go to YouTube, that's actually that bit after the URL. That's a question, whatever, y equals whatever. That's that little bit after the y. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on our page. Oops, just that. So I'm going to go ahead and click Edit Text. So I'm not in my skin. I'm not in my source code at all. And normally when you come to this page, I meant to leave this on Rich Text Editor because I want to talk about something. The Rich Text Editor, when you put stuff in here, depending on what you're putting in there, it's going to rewrite it for you. That's not always what I'm going to do. If you're working with straight HTML and you know HTML, you don't want to be in our Rich Text Editor view. We want to actually be in our basic text box so nothing gets messed up. All right? Now, on top of that, if you're putting line breaks in here, like I'm going to go ahead and select all this, put that in there. We got line breaks in there. If I leave that the way it is, and I just click update, we're going to get a break tag after every line because it's in text mode down here. You see that? And unfortunately, oops, text mode down there. Now, unfortunately, with that, you want to, when you go and change this, it's not going to remember that you changed this, but it will remember that you chose basic accept text box. I hate So we just changed it to HTML and it just reformatted that. And I don't have to do this. Oh, well, actually, you can actually already see that it already put the break tags in here. You see that? We didn't have any break tags in here. So, I'm going to go put it back in there. So it's just like we saw before. I'm going to go ahead and click update. I just put a widget into my DNA text model. Page open. Boom! There's already my YouTube video. Anybody ever see this? Oh, we're not going to sound. Here we go. This is a great song that some geek wrote. Basically, Day the Router style. It's really good. So, whenever you have any free time, because we all have tons of it, look for the Day the Router style. All right, it's a great song. All right, anyhow, it's 6 minutes long. All right, so that's the embed YouTube widget. Now, all I did to do that is I gave it a unique name, embed YouTube. That's very, very unique. All right. And then we got the code type equals client, code base equals embed widget. Now, that's how this all happens, embed widget. When that, in the very beginning, I showed you JavaScript code that DotNetNuke uses to go and look for all the widgets and then go and render. All right. The code base right here tells us the JavaScript code which actual file to run the widget against. All right. Embed widget is what we just see in there. So if we look at the DNN widget classes, embed widget is the name of that file. That's very important to realize. Okay? And of course, we've got declare in there. All right, so that's how the object tag relates to the JavaScript file. All right, any questions on that? Yes, sir.
Have you tried using the same widget multiple times? Let's say you want 5 videos.
Yeah, you can do that as long as each one has a different ID. Make sure, and that's already important for HTML standard, but that's even more important for the JavaScript. Okay? Because it's going to use jQuery, and if anybody's familiar with jQuery, you use this nice CSS type selector to go and find all the elements. It's possible that things are going to conflict because it finds too many elements when expecting one. All right, does that make sense? All right, so that's embed YouTube. So that's what the code actually looks like without the comments. All right, very easy. I was going to embed Family Guy, but I thought better of it. All right.